Yes, now I believe you are good to go. I want to greet you all. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Moses Mugisha is my name. I come to you live on Euroforum, but I'm also based here in Oslo, Norway. Today, we come in with a conversation with which sounds kind of unpopular, but a very relevant one and timely one. We bring to you a team from Diaspora Insurance, a UK-based insurance company that specializes in giving a shoulder to lean on in the times when things have gone bad. This is a company that particularly works in ensuring basically life, but also more specifically, they give out cash when things go wrong. We have a lot of questions. People out there have, many of them have already got in contact with them. At least I know the Ugandan community in the UK, Ugandan community in the Netherlands, they already have contact with them. And I know here in Norway, the Zimbabwean community are already in contact with them. For us here in Norway, at least we haven't gotten very broad contact with you. We have cases where people have gone through a lot when thunder strikes. Thunder strikes, I mean, when people lose loved ones. The tradition of condolences, which in our culture or our country we call mabugo, is a very popular one. And then there is an improved format of GoFundMe links, which are usually sent out to friends, family, and usually the general public, and at times to people who don't even know us. And these have also worked, but the question is, are they sustainable? Are they reliable? Are they ones one can count on? That's a question which you can also all believe that no, they are not that reliable. Today, with me, I have Dr. Edwin Tere and Mr. Talent Mudavanu from Diaspora Insurance. We're very glad to hear from you and know what you have brought for us. What do you have for us? What do we need to know? What is in there that we haven't known? Surprisingly, many people in Norway haven't known about this company, and people already have insurance packages somewhere, but perhaps they don't really cover exactly that part where, in case someone needed to repatriate the deceased back home. And of course, we also know that bills here are very, very expensive in these countries to when times of burial approach. And not everyone can meet these bills. And still, despite the well streamlined social welfare system, it still doesn't fall in very well that the system covers you. So here we are with Diaspora Insurance. Dr. Edwin. Yes,
Thank
over to you.
you. Yeah, thank you so much, Moses, for this opportunity. And with me on the call is my colleague, Talent Mdavanu, like you introduced. And I would want to welcome all the people that are listening to our presentation, wherever they are in the world. Yes, true. Moses, the conversation that we are going to have today is the type of conversation that you normally don't have at a dinner table, but it's inevitable because we are going to talk to you about something that is bound to happen to any one of us. So I'll start by talking about who Diaspora Insurance is. So Diaspora Insurance, we are a multinational global organization that caters for African expatriates wherever they are. At the moment, we do cover 43 African nationalities globally. So 43 African nationalities. I think the only countries that we don't cover at the moment are the Maghreb states, and I think Somalia at the moment, but we do cover out of the 54, 55 African countries, we cover 43 of them wherever they are, as long as you are staying outside your country of birth. you qualify to be covered under diaspora insurance. So that's a very, very big advantage that we have because with our product, we allow, I think, except for two countries, Nigeria and South Sudan, all the other countries, we allow you to extend this cover to your loved ones back home. So if you are in Europe, you can cover your loved ones you cover yourself, you cover your family in Norway, in Netherlands, in Belgium, but you also cover your loved ones back home in Africa. And there's no limit to the number of people that you can cover. As long as they are below the age of 75 years of age, they qualify to be covered. The reason why we left it open-ended in terms of numbers is because we understood our African culture, the way we were brought up. Some might have been brought up by an uncle, your father's brother, by your aunt, your mother's sister, by your grandma, by your brother, by a cousin, by an uncle, your mother's brother. And if anything happens, they look up to you to help, especially when it comes to end of life. That's why we did not cap to say you can only cover parents, grandparents, and we left it open-ended because we want to cater for the extended family for for our clients. To date, we have paid in excess of 8 million US dollars to bereaved families worldwide. And our plan is very flexible. You can choose the amount of cover that you want for different people covered under the plan. You can have yourself covered as the main member covered for 20,000 euros, 20,000 pounds, or 20,000 US dollars. And you can have the other people covered for 5,000, for 10,000. That flexibility is there. What cannot happen is for you to have a core life covered more than you as a principal member. That cannot happen. So you can have an equal amount of cover for your core lives. They can have the same cover like yourself. So it's very flexible. It's very affordable. Uh, So, as Diaspora Insurance, we are headquartered. We are a global operation, but we are headquartered in Birmingham, in the United Kingdom. We are we have celebrated our 14th anniversary. We are now into our 15th year of operation. We started way back in 2012. And like I've said, we've paid in excess of 8 million. We just updated the figures last month in May. And we are a multi-million US dollar premium turnover company. And we have a very strong multi-million US dollar reserve fund as Diaspora Insurance. And when we started in 2012, the company was focusing more on Zimbabweans living in the diaspora. But because of what we were doing, we were approached by other countries, other nationalities. We moved on 2014, we expanded to accommodate Zambians in the diaspora. By 2019, we had added 11 more countries. By 2025, we had added 7 more countries. And, and then we added 5 more. And after that, we added the other 18 countries to make them 43. So currently we do cover 43 African nationalities. So we cut across all the four language regions of Africa. That is the Anglo-Franco, Lusophone, and part of the Arab the Arab speaking countries in Africa. So I will not waste time talking about our vision, but as much as it's very important because we are looking at the challenges that are being faced by the African diasporan or the African expatriate. We want to change that reality because what we have discovered, the products that you find in the developed markets like your Europe, your UK, your Canada, your USA, Australia, New Zealand, parts of Asia, they are not designed to meet the needs of African expatriate. Yes, they provide that cover, but you find the cover is only provided for a certain period, maybe up to the age of 65, up to the age of 70, most of the products. And after that, the cover falls off. So in insurance, we say they are more of term covers than a life covers. So when you need it most, you won't be covered. That's the biggest challenge for those of you who already have the covers. Yes, it's important. It's a good step that you have taken, but you need to read the terms and conditions. You'll find the cover can only cover you up to a certain age. After that, the cover expires. But we are coming in as Diaspora Insurance to close that gap to say because when you retire, that's when you need the cover most. So we are bringing a cover that protects you for as long as you are alive. So that's the gap that we are providing and very, very affordable. So that's the other. And our mantra, we talk about guaranteeing peace of mind. So what do we mean by guaranteeing peace of mind? We are saying as Diaspora Insurance, we are not a fly-by-night organization. We are not a pyramid scheme. We have seen it all in the last 15 years. And to guarantee that peace of mind, we are a regulated and a licensed entity. We are regulated and licensed by the Financial Conduct Authority of the United Kingdom. And to be licensed in the financial hub of the world speaks volumes about what we do. From experience, insurance is a heavily regulated space. I see even the type of supervision, the inspections that we get on a quarterly basis, the reports that we submit to the regulator on a quarterly basis. They are so stringent, but very important because they ensure that the consumer out there is well protected. If anything happens, we will not fail to pay our claims. Over and above that, we also underwrite into Guard Risk International. And as required by law, we are required to reinsure part of our risk. So we also reinsure into Africa Re. It was a deliberate move for us to insure into Africa Re. Africa Re is one of the largest reinsurance companies in the world. And the reason why we chose Africa Re is because of the nature of our market. And over and above that, Africa Re is not owned by individual business people. It is owned by 42 Africa member states. They are shareholders in Africa Re. Over and above the 42 Africa member states, we have got the Africa Development Bank, and we have got the world's three largest insurance companies as shareholders in Africa Re. We are talking of Allianz, From Germany, we are talking of Fairfax from Canada. We are talking of AXA from France as shareholders in Africa Re. And this gives us, as Diaspora Insurance, the financial muscle to underwrite any form of risk, even in the event of a catastrophe. That's why during the time of COVID, we managed to meet all our claims without any challenge. And we have testimonials to that effect. It's because of the backing that we have from our big brothers. Because a reinsurance company is a big brother to an insurance company like your Africa Re. And a very small portion of our risk goes to FM Re or First Mutual Re. Again, insurance is all about spreading your risk. So that in itself guarantees that in the event of a claim, God forbid, we are guaranteed that your claim will be paid. This is our head office in Birmingham. If you happen to be in the UK one day, and for those of you who are already in the UK, please pass through and have a cup of coffee at our head office in Birmingham in West Midlands. We call it the home of African excellence. Even where you have events, you want to have events, workshops, you are invited to come and make free use of our head office. We have got an events room which accommodates up to 400 people. We don't charge you to use that space because we have a role that we play in the African community. So those of you, even wherever, we are having a team coming all the way from USA in October. They are coming to have their workshop, their conference at our head office in Birmingham. We are not charging them anything. We also have a group only on Friday. We hosted a team from the African think tank from the USA, and they are planning to have their next conference. This year's conference, they are having it in Ghana, in Accra. But next year, they've decided and they've committed that they will have their conference at our head office in Birmingham. We also do host consular activities for the UK, the Nigerian embassy, the Zimbabwean embassy, the South African embassy, the different African embassies. They make use of our head office to do their consular outreach programs because Birmingham is very central for people who live in the UK. And again, let me repeat, we will not charge you for the use of our events room at our head office because this is your home. This is the home for African excellence. You are free to come as long as you tell us in time so that we prepare and you are free to use our head office. So why Diaspora Insurance? As Diaspora Insurance, we came up with this bespoke product after seeing a lot of challenges that African expatriates were going through after the loss of a loved one. We saw, and I think Moses also mentioned that, situations where people were going through a lot of trauma, where they bereave and beg at the same time, using, yes, what we call GoFundMe, using, as Africans, we are very communal. Yes, we come together when a colleague is in need. We make contributions. I know in Swahili they call it mchango. In Kenya they call it the arambi. And there's a name that Moses mentioned. Maybe that's the name that is used in Uganda, where people now come through and make contributions. Some people try to have those community benevolent funds, burial societies. But we are saying, yes, it's important and it shows that we understand that there's a need for us as Africans to be protected. But that way, it's not sustainable. Why do I say that? When someone is born, there are two things that are guaranteed to happen to that person. The first one is old age. But old age is very beautiful. You see it coming. When you celebrate your birthdays every year, you are celebrating old age. When you receive flowers from your loved ones, your spouses, your children, your relatives, friends, you are celebrating old age. You actually see it coming, and it's very beautiful. But there's a tricky customer in the name of death. It's going to happen to any one of us, no matter we talk about it or we don't talk about it. It's still coming, and it's going to happen. But the biggest challenge is we don't know when. Even a prophet, the best prophet that you can think of, cannot tell you when you are going to die. So we are saying we need to prepare for these things because we know they are coming. It's going to happen. And the fact that we don't know when it's going to happen gives us a reason to get prepared more so that we don't become GoFundMe cases, so that we don't make use of our credit cards, so that we don't borrow and create debt for ourselves. And there's something that happens. Us in the diaspora, coming from Africa, there's a lot of expectation from people back home. Once they know that Dr. Edwin is now in the United Kingdom, is now in Australia, is now in Norway, in Netherlands, there's that expectation. They think that now my bank balance is fit. I have all the types of insurance that anyone can think of. I'm well protected. I'm living life. That's why when it happens, we are always the first people to receive that call to say so and so has passed on. Uncle so and so is in hospital. This is what has happened back home. And we are saying this is the reality of life. And we need to be prepared for such. And this is where we come in as Diaspora Insurance. Yes, GoFundMe, but it's not every GoFundMe that is successful. We have seen instances where people have gone for 12 months failing to raise enough money to repatriate their loved ones back to their countries of origin. Moses mentioned that burial abroad is very, very expensive. I can give you an example. Right now, 2 weeks ago, I was talking to a journalist from Eswatini, Swaziland. They are looking for money to repatriate a man who died. It's now 3 years. 3 years ago, the family has failed to repatriate his remains back to Eswatini. He was the only one in the diaspora. The family, the spouse and the children are back home in Eswatini. But up to now, they failed to repatriate the remains of their loved one. The government told them that they are not prepared to do that. Just imagine the emotional trauma that the family is going through. Up to this day, 3 years down the line, they haven't put closure to what happened to their loved one. We also have a case of Sophia. You can check on the internet. A Nigerian who also passed away in the diaspora. And for 2 years, the family failed to raise enough money to repatriate Sophia back to Nigeria. The only surviving member of the family back in Nigeria was the 85-year-old mother. And just imagine what the mother went through for 2 years. We have even celebrities, professors. I know of a Zambian lawyer who died in the USA. It took the family in Zambia 1 year to raise money. A lawyer, I'm talking of a lawyer here, to raise money to repatriate. They needed 20,500 US dollars to repatriate their loved one back to Zambia. It took them 12 months to raise that money. We have a popular musician from Zimbabwe who passed on in the UK and his remains stayed at CJ Raleigh for 8 months. Very popular musician, but even his colleagues, fellow musicians, could not come together to raise the money that was required to repatriate his remains back to Zimbabwe. It only happened after 8 months for him to be repatriated. We have a Zimbabwean professor who was murdered in Canada. He comes from a family of professors, but they struggled for more than 6 months to raise money to repatriate his remains from Canada back to Zimbabwe. And there are more and more cases if you go on the internet. More and more cases where people have struggled. Doctors. I was in Australia the whole of April, May. There was a doctor who passed on. And the family struggled. They had to wait until the group life cover was paid for them to repatriate their loved one back to Zimbabwe. A medical doctor. And there was also a 24-year-old who died just coming out of a gym. And they had to go to the church to beg for money. So a lot of our fellow African expatriates are going through a lot. So sometimes they're experiencing these emotional scars that take time to close, that some of them have not even closed. And we know Africa, when you struggle and people start talking, so but they have a child in Norway, the child can't even help their family member here back in Uganda or in Kenya or wherever in Africa. And this leads to loss of dignity for the family. People start asking, so what is Moses doing in Norway? What is Edwin doing in the UK? What is Talent doing in the UK? They will ask those questions, and it leads to loss of family dignity. And sometimes when people finally raise that kind of money or borrowed, you start seeing undisgraceful, undignified send off, where people are just saying, no, as long as we have we have buried him. And at the end of the day, people will start cursing you in your grave to say, if it wasn't for Dr. Edwin, I wouldn't be in this situation because I ended up borrowing money from a friend, borrowing money from the bank, using my credit card. I wouldn't be in this situation. So people will curse you in your grave. And we are saying, as Diaspora Insurance, we want to put a stop to that. Let's not create an unplanned family debt. Let's not create zero peace of mind to our loved ones in Norway, in Netherlands, in Belgium, in France, and even in Africa. We are bringing a transnational cover because as Africans, we are transnational citizens. By transnational, we are saying if an opportunity opens up for me, I'm in the UK right now, it comes in Australia. I simply pack my bags and move to Australia. So we are saying we are bringing a transnational cover because the covers that you find in Norway, Moses, will only cover you for as long as you are in Norway. If you move out of Norway, that cover falls off. But Diaspora Insurance is bringing a transnational cover Even if you move out of Norway and you relocate to the UK, you don't need to look for another cover. The same cover that you took when you were in Norway will still cover you when you relocate to UK, you relocate to Canada, to USA, to Australia, to New Zealand, to Qatar, to Bahrain, the same cover. So we are bringing a transnational cover to transnational citizens. Both Africans are very transnational. I've already spoken about the countries that we cover, 43 of them, wherever they are in the world. My question to you is, if I'm to ask Moses to say, Moses, can you transfer 20,000 euros to me right now? How many of us could do that immediately? That's very tricky.
At least I'm not.
Yes.
I was saying that at least I'm not one of those.
So, so it's very, very challenging because you may not have that kind of money in a liquid form at the moment. And we are saying this is exactly what your family might need if anything is to happen to you, to your loved one in the diaspora, maybe a bit less to your loved one back home in Africa. Remember, I said we don't know when it's going to happen. It can happen in the next 5 minutes. It can happen next week. It can happen next month. It can happen after 100 years. And normally, when it happens, if we are unprepared, we have to find the money somewhere. Or sometimes we fail completely even to travel and give a dignified send off to our loved ones back home in Africa, our parents, our grandparents. Insurance is the only product that you buy when you don't need it. Everything else you buy because you need it. You buy a motor vehicle, you buy a house, you buy a suit, you buy a shoe because you need it. But insurance is the only product that you buy when you don't need it. Because when you need it, you won't be able to buy it. When something has happened, you start thinking about insurance, but that will be too late. You won't be able to buy insurance cover. A lot of us say, I don't need insurance right now. You need it because it's a product that you can only buy when you don't need it. Because when you need it, you won't be able to buy it. So let's keep that at the back of our minds. You can go on this link. It's called The Cost of Dying Report by Empathy. This is the website. For someone in Europe, you need not less than 9,800 euros for you to be buried in Europe. In UK, it's almost 10,000 pounds for you to be buried. It's actually cheaper to be repatriated back home than to be buried abroad. Australia, you need about 20,000 Australian dollars to be buried in Australia. But it costs 15,000 Australian dollars for you to be repatriated back to Africa. But as Diaspora Insurance, we pay cash. So cash gives you that convenience, it gives you flexibility. You can choose whether you want cremation, which is way, way cheaper, burial abroad, repatriation. And again, these days we are seeing a new phenomenon of what we call reverse repatriation. We have people who have retired back home in Africa, but because they had children in the diaspora, they had grandchildren in the diaspora, when they pass on in Africa, the grandchildren are actually requesting to say, we want our grandmother, our granddad to be brought back to Europe for burial. That's what we call reverse repatriation. And it's happening these days, it's happening a lot. We have paid so many claims on reverse repatriation where parents are being brought back. Remember, the children that we are having in the diaspora are not Africans. They are Norwegians, they are Dutch, they are Belgians, they are French, they are British. So when we take them to Africa, they are simply going there for holiday. Their roots are here. Don't think those children will ever relocate back to Africa. 99% of them will not. So we are saying this is a plan that is also good for your children and grandchildren. So you can just go through this report. It's in the public domain. The cost of dying. So as Diaspora Insurance, we are bringing that convenience. We are saying, are you prepared for the unexpected? If not, please make a decision today. As part of your financial planning, an end of life expense plan is a necessity because you don't know when it's going to happen. Yes, I've already spoken about the issue of burial societies, community contributions, the Arampis, the Mchangos, the Stokvels, the Savings Club, the burial societies. Yes, they are good to have, but they also come with a lot of risk. Where are the risks? They are not licensed, they are not underwritten, they are not reinsured, so they are bound to fail. And they don't cater for what we call reciprocity. You can belong to a burial society, but you notice that it's only yesterday. I actually met a family where they were saying, no, I no longer want to be part of this burial society. It seems there are only two families that are benefiting from the burial society. They are losing members every year. But as for me, I'm just contributing and I've never benefited. So I don't see the need. That's the challenge with these benevolent funds or community groups. That reciprocity is not there. But with an insurance company, you know that it will happen one day and you'll be covered. So, but like I said, if you belong to a benevolent fund, congratulations. But you need to be aware of the risks that I've alluded to do with regulation. Sometimes members fail to make contributions. They are not regulated. And sometimes I know one benevolent fund in Manchester, it has actually collapsed. The members, they were told, I saw an email where they were saying, no, guys, you are free to join Diaspora Insurance. This thing is no longer working for us. Those are the challenges of benevolent funds. I've already spoken about the issue of loans, asking churches, family, friends through GoFundMe to help. And this compromises the dignified send-off that each and every one of us deserves at the end of the day. It takes away the peace of mind that a family should have to bereave their loved ones. These days, we don't no longer mourn the dead. We celebrate the life that they lived. I think if we have colleagues from West Africa, they can relate to what I'm talking about. In Ghana, for example, they take a month to bury their loved one. They celebrate the life. It's like a party, but it comes at a huge cost. I have one of a colleague who is a business development manager for the West Africa corridor. He lost, I think, beginning of year around March, he lost his father. It took them a month before they buried him, and they were preparing. They actually raised 20,000 to give the father a dignified send off. We paid the claim, but they had to raise more money because the claim amount was not even enough. So we are saying there's a better way to do it. This is why diaspora insurance exists, to give you that dignity, to give you that peace of mind, to protect yourself, to protect your family, to protect your loved ones. That's the reason why we exist, because we are regulated, we are liable, we are reinsured, and we are not a pyramid scheme. So these are some of the risks that are faced by burial societies or benevolent funds, these community groups. Sometimes because it's you have the chairman and the committee members, maybe people who are not even qualified to run the administration of a bereavement fund, dynamics of migration. I said earlier on that as Africans, we are transnational citizens. So we need a product that is equally transnational, which can cover us wherever we are. We had a client, we had gone to Zanzibar for holiday. Unfortunately, the client drowned in Zanzibar. He was from South Africa. Unfortunately, we had to pay the claim in Zanzibar. The family took the body from Zanzibar straight to South Africa because it was covered under a transnational cover. So sometimes fraudulent claims with the burial societies. We had a benevolent fund too, actually in the UK. The other one was called Madzimai Akatendeka in Coventry. The committee members ran away with more than 150,000 pounds worth of cash belonging to the group. And that was the end of the group. And the members could not claim that money anyway because they were not registered, not reinsured, nothing. Wrong investment decisions. Another benevolent fund called Bulawaya Women of Virtue. Yes, they'd accumulated a lot of money in their account. No one was dying because God maybe was protecting them. And they made decisions to say, can we use the money to buy properties back home in Africa? When they started investing back home in Africa in property, that's when they started experiencing death. And when death started happening in the group, there no liquid cash to help their members. Because selling a house cannot happen overnight. And that led to the collapse of the group because it was a wrong investment decision. The money was meant to cater for end of life expenses, but they used the money to buy properties. So those things can actually, and then there's the issue of intergenerational perception risks. We understand how burial societies work, but our children will not understand that. They know that there are insurance companies out there. So once the older generation is gone, it can be the end of the benevolent fund as well, because they will not believe in something that is unstructured. So we need to be very, very careful. So we are bringing a product which is very much affordable, where we commit as Diaspora Insurance to pay claims within 24 hours. I've seen claims that we have paid in 4 hours, in 2 hours, in 8 hours, in 10 hours. Only yesterday morning, we paid a claim within 3 hours of a client who lost a child through drowning in Nottingham. And I visited the family yesterday. I was with the family yesterday uh, afternoon from 12 to around 4. I was at the family house. And we had settled the claim. By the time I traveled there, the claim had been settled. And they're actually giving a dignified send off to their son on Tuesday. And our team is going there to help with the live streaming because they said they can't repatriate. But for the loved ones back home in Africa to witness the burial, we have assisted them with the live streaming to say we'll do the live streaming, we'll print the program for you. They also requested for a banner for the deceased. We have done the banner, everything, just to assist that family. That's what we do, Diaspora Insurance, wherever you are. I've spoken about financial relief and reciprocity. Through a structured insurance company, you are assured of that reciprocity. I've spoken to all these other things, the peace of mind. You can come through as a group, because I saw a group name there, Buganda Society Europe. You join as a group. And if you come as a group or under a group scheme, you have the advantage where an individual will actually get their own policy fully administered by Diaspora Insurance, and we can work out some discounts for groups because insurance is about volumes. So if you are coming through a group, we can actually structure discounted premiums for groups. But individuals, you can also come as an individual. That's why we have talent here. You can work on groups, the group structures. You can work on individual structures, whichever way you want to join the plan. But at the end of the day, it's important that you have yourself covered. Add to what you already have. Remember, I said, yes, the insurances that we have in the developed world, yes, they are good, but they are not well designed for Africans because they are term covers. They only cover you for a certain period of time. So here we are bringing a cover that comes with no medicals. We don't subject you to undergo any medicals. We don't ask those intrusive questions about your state of health, whether you drink or smoke, whether you suffered from nose bleeding or what. We don't ask those questions. We just need your details and the details of your loved ones. And we are good to go. We even cover accidental death is immediate. If you apply for the policy today and something happens as a result of an accident, like the drowning that I was talking about, drowning is accidental, as long as police prove that it was not suicidal. We pay the claim there and then. We don't ask any question. We just need that police report, the death certificate. We are done. We pay. No medicals, no questions But death due to natural causes, there's a waiting period there, minimum 3 months. And then after that, we then stagger the payments depending on whether it's extended family or nucleus family. You cover yourself abroad and you can also cover your loved ones back home in Africa, except for those two countries that I spoke about, South Sudan and Nigeria at the moment. We are working on something for them, but at the moment we don't cover their loved ones back home in Africa. This is cash cover, and you are covered in hard currency where you don't have to worry about inflationary loss of value. Unlike the currencies back home where you have to worry about the exchange rate. But we are saying now you'll be covered in euros. Your relatives, your friends back home will be covered in euros where you don't have to worry about the exchange rate between the US and the euro and the shilling. They'll be covered in hard currency. So being covered in hard currency is like having a gold bar under your bed. You are preserving the value. And the other beauty about cash is that cash does not chase fashion. Goods and services chase fashion. When I'm talking about goods and services, I'm talking about the caskets, the coffins, the buses, all those things, they chase fashion. A casket of 10 years ago is completely different from a casket of today. But 20,000 pounds of 10 years ago, yes, there's inflation, but it can do equally the same with the 20,000 euros of today. That's the beauty about cash, flexibility, and convenience. And with cash, you are not tied to a specific service provider. You make choices. You are free to make choices. You can choose whether you want repatriation, cremation, or burial abroad. You can choose to make your own casket because you have got the cash. You have the bargaining power to negotiate for certain things. This is a worldwide protection. I spoke about the transnational component of this product. You can celebrate your life. You can celebrate the life of your loved ones. You have peace of mind guaranteed. Sometimes when you see people mourning and throwing themselves on the ground, sometimes they are not mourning the deceased. They are actually mourning the living. Because they are saying if the deceased who was a breadwinner can get this type of send off, what's going to happen to his children, his spouse, his parents? So they're actually mourning the living, not the departed. So we need to make sure that we protect ourselves, we protect our loved ones, we protect our dignity as African expatriates. When these white friends of ours see those GoFundMe cases, they actually ask to say, but why are you GoFundMe? You guys are organized. They actually look down upon us to say we are not organized. Why are you begging from the public? And sometimes we lie to them to say, no, 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 that's our culture. That's our culture. We help each other. But that's not the way they see it. So we need to start bringing dignity to ourselves as Africans. So I've already alluded to the fact that we cover from birth up to the age of 75 on application. But once you are covered for life. So you can cover yourself, you can cover your spouse, you can cover children the age of 21, that on the family cover your extended family members back home, and there's no limit. We cover all African nationalities that are eligible, whether by birth, whether you're an African by birth, by descent, by registration, marriage, or naturalization, you qualify for our cover. And we also cover spouses who are non-African. If you are an African and you are married to a Norwegian, that Norwegian qualifies to be covered under our plan. But their parents, their extended family members will not qualify. But the spouse qualifies, your children qualifies to be covered under this plan. So yeah, I will not talk about the rates because they do vary with your choice, whether you are coming under group or you're coming as an individual. So talent will look at that when you reach out to him. So what makes us different as Diaspora Insurance? We are saying you come on a acceptance basis, no medicals. We don't subject our clients to undergo any medicals. We commit to pay claims within 24 hours as long as the required documentation has been submitted. For Africa, I know it takes time to get the actual death certificate, but we just need the death confirmation. And we've even taken a step further to say a letter from the chief if something happens in the remote parts of the country. A letter from the chief. The good thing now is most chiefs in Africa are commissioners of oath. They even know how to write that letter. We accept a burial order, a death confirmation from a hospital, we accept and we process. Accidental death is a police report. We'll then accept, we process the claim because we are aware that the money is needed for end of life expenses, which start accruing as soon as someone passes on. And the challenge with us diasporans, when you pass on, there are likely to be 3 funeral vigils. The one at your place of residence in Norway, the other one at your house in town in Kampala, the other one at your village. People will start congregating at your village. People will start congregating at your house in Kampala. People will start congregating at your house in Norway, in Netherlands, in Belgium. So there'll be like 3 funeral vigils. Those people, they want to eat. So you need to slaughter an ox in the village. You need to buy meat for those that are in town. And yourself here in the diaspora, friends, relatives coming to pay their last respects, you need to buy food. You need to do all those other things. And it's even worse for us as Africans. If you lose a wife, for that matter, we know what happens. And you had not finished paying lobola, the in-laws will start asking for their balance before they bury their daughter. They'll even tell you to say, no, no, you can't do anything. You need to fly in a brother, an aunt, or an uncle from Africa to come and be with you, as much as they are coming to do nothing, but you can't do anything on your own. You need someone from their family side for you to then tell them to say, no, we have gotten the death certificate. No, this is what we are going to do. We are waiting for the reverend from the church to do this. They need to be with you. We understand our culture and we can't run away from those things. I've already spoken about the flexibility, the hard currents cover. That's what makes us different. We have come across, different situations where some people have gone missing until they are presumed dead. With a cash cover, we pay the cash to the family, and the family can use the cash for other things. We are all aware of what happened to the Malaysia Airlines. With all those people on board, up to now, no one knows what happened. But if they were covered under diaspora insurance, we're simply going to pay the cash to the families. And the family can do whatever they want. Sometimes they visit a crash site. I think we are aware of that Ethiopian Airlines that crashed after taking off from Ethiopia heading to Kenya. It crashed in a field. Nothing was recovered from there. Nothing was recovered from there. So we are saying in such situations, your casket, your bus policy will not work. What you need is cash. People can go to that field, plant a tree in your remembrance, and do other. Cash can buy the field that in your remembrance. So those things, cash is flexible. It caters for all the dynamics that come with the end of life. So yeah, all these things I've spoken about them. I've spoken about why we are different, why you should choose us as Diaspora Insurance. Yeah, I've also spoken about the fact that death comes in three perspectives. The first perspectives are those things that happen before it happens. And then during, when you talk about repatriation, you talk about food, you talk about the three funeral vigils, you talk about transport, and then the post-burial, which we normally call the dry period, where you now talk about the tombstone. As Africans, in our culture, we look after the dead so well than the time they were living. The type of tombstones that I'm seeing in Africa these days, yeah, it's like mini houses. In other, the mausoleums that we are building for our departed, yeah, they come at a cost. The memorial services. So we are saying when you have got cash, you can actually cater for those things. Relocation sometimes it's actually in the public domain. A Zimbabwean guy who was working for the correctional services in the USA as a nurse. He passed on. I tell it. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
Oh,
I hear
sorry.
you. We hear you.
Okay, thank you. So we are saying with the diaspora insurance, spare your bereaved family the pain of begging. Instead of leaving emotional scars, let's leave lasting memories. Let's protect ourselves. Let's protect our loved ones. Let's protect our dignity. And let's guarantee ourselves that dignified send off. No GoFundMe, no funeral deaths. Peace of mind is priceless to each and every one of us. So let's make sure that we take advantage of diaspora insurance. We are a global operation. We cater for all Africans in the diaspora from the 42 African nationalities worldwide. Whether you're in Qatar, you're in Bahrain, you're in Malaysia, you're in Singapore, you're in China, and we are having lots and lots of Africans applying from Thailand, South Korea, Taiwan. We are everywhere. This is a that is designed. You can visit our website. Oh, I'm getting a message. Can you still hear me?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. So these are some of the testimonials. You can get them on our website. Please take time to visit our website, listen to some of these testimonials, read some of the blogs on our website about what has happened, the stories that I was talking about, where some of our colleagues, it has taken years for people to be repatriated. Some have not been buried up to now, 3 years down the line, because the family, the community is failing to raise enough money to repatriate their remains back to their countries of origin. So we are bringing that peace of mind to you as African diasporans. You can call Talent. He's going to share a link that you can use in the chat to reach out to make inquire on more details, get quotations, so that you get yourself covered, you get your loved ones covered, you protect yourself, you protect your dignity, and you live that peace of mind. So thank you so much for this opportunity. We can now take some questions. Thank you, Moses, and back to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Edwin. You covered quite a lot, and I strongly believe people have been taking notes here and there. You cited out a couple of things that I feel they are very relevant to a diasporan. I loved it when you said that insurance is the only product you buy when you don't need it. When you need it, usually it's very hard to. I had never thought about it, but when you open it up, it makes a lot of sense that you cannot insure yourself at that point of need. And yes, I saw you've opened up quite a lot. The credibility of Diaspora Insurance, how far you cover, who are eligible. I also loved it. I love the prompt cash payment. Because of course, from my end, I would pick so much interest in knowing how fast money is paid. Because this were grieving, but also I'm on the line waiting for money, which I feel like I have earned or I deserve. One of the slides, I read the statement, which was very interesting, but also realistic, that trauma, that what diaspora insurance does is to relieve us of the trauma of the trauma of bereaving with a begging bowel in your hands. That is really that is kind of true, because of course the bowel in this context are the GoFund links and what we call the Mabugo links, which is the condolence. But yes, let's pick a couple of questions. I see Buganda Society now already has a hand. Please, the mic is yours.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mugisha. And thank you so much, our presenters from Diaspora Insurance. My questions, and thanks so much for the extensive and thorough explanation about Diaspora Insurance. First of all, I want to thank you for your flexibility, because when you were illustrating about Diaspora Insurance, there was a lot of flexibility that I liked so much. For example, not being so medical and being too concerned about someone's background. The flexibility of issuing the cash, the hard cash, all that is very touching. Thank you for your community engagements, because I heard you saying that you open up your offices to the community, to the society, and you've already gained good reputation about sponsoring and supporting various community works and associations. My few questions are, for example, you mentioned about age limit of 75, and also you mentioned about being open about age. So I really humbly request about more clarification about what do you mean by the limit of 75. Does it mean, for example, if I have a member I'm paying for, that person shouldn't be above 75 by the time of registration? But if that person is already a member and surpasses 75, is it fine then? That's one question. It was about age. And also, as I was speaking to some of my people about the issue of repatriation, they were like, but some of us have our children here, and these are their countries. So if I'm repatriated back home, they won't have a chance of at least coming and celebrating me in my grave. So they prefer being buried here. So I kindly request for some explanation about what are the limits and the boundaries of the repatriation. Maybe you forgive me if I've not understood it so well. Maybe also cater for people who are here, as long as they are of the African descent background. For example, if I'm born in Uganda and I want to be buried in Norway, am I catered for? The third question is about the membership and how many members. For example, me, if I have my sisters and my brothers and maybe a good friend whom I would love to have decent burial, is it possible to pay for them their various, what is it called, the subscription? And how many members are supposed to be under my roof or like under my subscription? For example, are they supposed to be children and a husband? Or, we in Africa, we have extended families, or even my grandmother. So the limit of the members, and then how much? Because when I was talking to some of my people, they were concerned about, people think these insurances are very expensive. So they were like, oh, but how much is it? How much does it cost? Actually, that is the first question before they even ask about anything else. So I would humbly request for some more clarification, explanation about the various premiums that you had. You mentioned about a group premium whereby you can get some discounts, but I'm wondering if you have at least an average price of, if you one person, you pay this. If you 5 members, you pay discount of this, or you pay like this. So those are some of the few questions I can ask now. I have more questions, but maybe I'll go on the website, and if later I'm to subscribe, I get in touch and I can ask more personal questions. Thanks so much for your contributions.
Thank you, ma'am, for the questions. I'll start with the third question. I think in my opening remarks, I mentioned to say the other advantage of this plan is that there is no limit to the number of people that you can cover. You can cover yourself, you can cover your nucleus family, a nucleus family that is your spouse and children below the age of 21. And you can extend the cover to your loved ones back home, be it parents, your own parents, your in-laws, your sisters, your brothers, and there's no limit. You only get limited by your pocket. So you can cover the whole clan under your own policy as long as they are below the age of 75 on application. So what we are saying on application, we only take, like for main member, someone has to be 15 years up to 74 years, which is 75 age next birthday. So someone from 15 years can apply for this policy on their own. I know back home in Africa, we talk of 18 as the age of majority. But on this plan, 15 years, you can apply for your own policy. And you can cover as many people as you want, as long as they are below the age of 75 on application. But once you are covered for life. So I think I've answered your the two questions that you asked there. And then you spoke about groups. So for a group, as long as there are 10 or more members in a particular group, they qualify. So what we do with the groups, you give us the certain details, Talent, I'll give Talent has got and then we do a detailed proposal that will submit to you for your consideration. You meet as a group, you discuss the benefits. There are other benefits that accrue to a group scheme that I did not talk about in this presentation because they apply to certain groups depending with the number of people in that particular group. Because I said this is a bespoke product. So we even customize for certain groups. So as long as there are 10 or more people in that group, they qualify for what we call a group scheme. We can actually create a group scheme for the Buganda community in Norway. That will be a group scheme where everyone from Uganda who is part of that community can then enjoy the discounted premiums that we can then communicate to the group. The premiums are age related especially for the retail. We look at your age, the age of your spouse, the age of your child, the age of the people that you want to cover. So we'll need the dates of birth for each member because the cover is per life. This is where I explained to say you can actually be flexible to say I want to be covered for 20,000 euros, but I want my child to be covered for 10,000 euros. I want my sister who is in Canada to be covered for 5,000 euros in case something happens to her and I need money to travel to Canada. You can do that. As for for a friend, it's a bit tricky because we talk of insurable interest. So the reassurers will ask us to say, what is the person's insurable interest in this person? Because when we talk of insurable interest, we are saying what loss would you suffer if you lose a friend? Financial loss. So in terms of insurance, we say you have no insurable interest in your friend, but in your sister, because you are bound to suffer financial loss because you need to fly back to Uganda. And then your first question was on if you don't want to be repatriated. Again, I had covered that. I said this is a very flexible cover because we pay cash and you choose where you want to be buried. You can be buried in Norway. You can be cremated. You can be repatriated if you want. That's why I spoke about that cost of dying report, where I said it costs about 9,800 euros for you to be buried in Norway. Meaning, if you are in Norway, you don't need anything less than 10,000 euro as a cover. But I would recommend something between 12,500 to 15,000 for someone who is in Norway. The reason being, there are other expenses that are likely to be incurred. So you need enough money to cater for such. But this is the right product for you. As long as your origins are Africa, you qualify to be covered under this product. Where to be buried is your decision. And it doesn't matter. We can pay the money if you want to, you want to go and live on an island. We can still pay wherever. So this is the perfect product for you, madam. So the other things for the group, yes, we can actually, outside this meeting, we can do a detailed proposal for your community group and you can look at it. If you are happy, we can craft a scheme for you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Edwin. I love the extent at which you've responded to Buganda Society in Norway. The lady behind that window is also one of the leaders in that association. So in that context, she's certainly speaking for voices behind her. And I wonder if Jessica and Tongo, if you feel answered for all the questions you asked. Should we proceed?
Yes, thank you so much. Have been answered.
Okay,
Though
perfect.
the ones of the prices, as he has said, I think it's personal communication that, yeah, that will be better in that case.
Okay, perfect.
Mm.
Yes. Now I see we have a hand from Irene Visasoho, and please take the mic. Irene.
Hello, you hear
Yes,
me?
hello. Yes, we hear you now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation, Dr. Edwin. Did I say? Yeah, I say your name right. My question goes to about children. You talked. I'm sorry if you answered that prior before I joined, but you talked about children 21. I'm wondering how is it transferable that after 21, for example, as a parent, your child can take over and continue. Is it 21 before when I'm subscribing? I needed to know a little bit about that. What happens when the child is 21? What happens with the policy after the child is 21? Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. What happened with the policy after the child is 21? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Irene. So we are saying at the point of application for children, we take from birth up to the age of 21, but they will remain covered under the parents' policy up to the age of 25. When they reach 25, they fall off that policy and they are eligible to apply for their own policy without any waiting period. So they will have to go on a separate policy, but without any waiting period.
Sorry. So let me just interject in a little bit. So let me say I've insured my son for maybe 10,000 euros, and then he reaches 25. Does the 10,000 euro get transferred to him when he's starting at 25, or he has to start from scratch?
They are starting from scratch. They are starting a new policy altogether. Some people, what they normally do, since I said the entry age for this plan is 15. So for as long as the child is above 15, normally they take a separate policy for them to say, no, you apply for your own policy and then you continue running with that policy for life. If you get married, you simply add your spouse and children to that policy. But some are comfortable to say, no, they will be covered under my family policy. But once they attain the age of 25, because I expect that by 25, they'll be doing their own things. They can then start their own policy and continue with that policy. So that other cover will actually fall off. But if they want to take their own policy at the same cover, remember I said there's no waiting period. So if anything happens, they are covered.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Irene. Irene Bisasohoem is also a leader in an organization called Lady Irene of Ubuntu Norway. So I want to assume that her questions are tailored to her and her family, but maybe also to the people she leads. Lucy, you're most welcome. There was someone on Samsung, you're most welcome. Please feel free to chip in with a question or an inquiry where need be. I see Moise Annington with a question. Please, the mic is yours.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
yes,
Do you
please.
hear me?
Yes, we hear you, Sebo.
Yeah. Thanks so much for the wonderful presentation. Yeah, my question is, I think it's on somehow maybe in the, yeah, almost this, they are not, but exactly not the same, but a bit different. Can you please elaborate more about or break more about the general cost, the cost general in a general way, not because we say that for costs you can. We have to first maybe you have to make a plan when we have talked to you. But what I want to ask here is that what I want to ask to give us the general the general costs. For example, I can give an example. For example, if you are talking about the age, because you say, I remember you answered the Jessica when you said that when we the premium or the costs depend according to age. For example, here what I want to ask is that, for example, if you are to give us the general picture of people, for example, if you say that two people who are between the age bracket of 40 to 50, or two people who are in the age bracket of 60 to 70, since you say that you can't go over 75, or for example, if you say that the two or three people who are in between the age bracket of 30 to 40, I mean, like that. So can you just give a general picture of the cost, not going in the details, as you said that, for example, the details must be when the person has given you or you have contacted you. I just want to get a general picture. Maybe it can help us before we contact you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think, Doc, let me try to answer that one. Thank you so much, Moes, for that question. So on the general pricing, like Dr. said, it will then be specific, but I'm happy amongst the people who are in the meeting. We also have someone who already joined, Mr. Moses. I think without getting into much details of who you covered and so forth, can you just tell them on average how much you are paying? I think only of 4 or 5 people that you cover, but it does.
Of course, I'm more than happy to share. At first I tried out an option which I finally didn't go for. The option was I covered 5 people, wife and 3 children, and I pay out of 10,000 euros for each. And these children are below 14, 13, 6, and 1. And my wife and I are within 30 and 45 of age. So the computation landed me on 30 euros per month. That is an equivalent to 300 Norwegian crowns per month. And then there was a cover where I put 7,500 euros for each of us in case something happened. And the same age bracket, the same number of people, and the computation landed me at 24 euros. That's an equivalent to around 240 Norwegian crowns. So precisely speaking, a family of 5 adults between 30 to 45, children 0 to 13, you might end up paying not more than 350 Norwegian crowns. And maybe it can be scaled up accordingly. I hope that helps.
So so Moses, saying for a family of 5 covered for 10,000.
Yes, for 10,000.
So meaning those people in total covered for 50,000 euros.
Yes, 50,000. Okay, one is covered for 5,000.
So that's 45,000.
45,000.
So, and we are saying you are 45. So if you are paying around 30 euros and you are going to it for the next 50 years, So that means that your premium, the total outlay to the insurance company is going to be 8,000 euros, but your benefit is 50,000 euros. Ale?
Hello?
Yes, can you
Hello?
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just want to paint a certain picture to say for your, even if you are going to live for the next 50 years, your total contribution to the insurance company is going to be 18,000 euros, but your benefit is going to be 50,000. So what I'm trying to put across is that in insurance, there's no way you can even contribute 50% of your cover amount in total contributions to the insurance company. It's normally way, way less. That's why we rely so much on volumes, hoping that everyone will not die on the same day. That's how insurance works. So in terms of payments, insurance is the cheapest thing that you can have on this earth. You'll never contribute equal to your cover amount. It's normally way, way less. Even the incident that I was talking about earlier on of a client who had a child drowning in Nottingham, they had paid 146 pounds, but we paid 15,000 pounds for that claim because it was accidental death.
Thank you.
It's not about how much you are going to pay. It's about how much you are going to benefit. And you'll never pay even 50% of your cover amount in terms of contributions. So I urge you, ladies and gentlemen, to make the decision now and get yourself covered. Thanks, Moses.
Thank you so much, Dr. Edwin. Someone on Samsung who joined in later on. Before you came in, we've had a sail through the different covers Diaspora Insurance has to offer, their credibility. It's a UK-based company that sees to give a shoulder to lean on in times of thunder. That's death. And it prides in giving prompt cash. And I think something very important is that they don't require medicals. But there is, of course, more information that people need to acquire and maybe consult about, that they wouldn't find it maybe so comfortable to inquire now. In line with contacts, Dr. Edwin and Mr. Talent, what do you recommend that people should find comfort in reaching out privately?
Thank you so much, Moses. Thank you so much, Dr. Tswere, for such an enlightening presentation. So I saw that you already put a link there that is for inquiry, that your VCAD link there, up there on the chat. So I think they can also make use of that. They can also reach directly. I'm so sure you have maybe some group platform where you can share the contacts, my contacts, or even that link. It will come to me as well. I think that will be fine.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, I feel yes, a lot has been covered, but I also want to believe that 1 or 2, 3 questions might be pending before we close. Does any of us have something that needs more light to be shed before we wind up? Okay, I want to interpret this silence.
I wanted to ask.
Yes, please. Take it on.
Yeah, because there's something which I wanted to ask again. It's
Yes, sir.
for example, if I insure someone who's living at home, for example, in Uganda, a parent or a relative, and for example, it comes up, but the person passes on, then how is that? How's that money paid on? For example, is it paid to me here, or is it sent to Uganda, for example, directly? Because what we know here, we have a problem with the. How can I call it? With especially with receiving money from abroad or whether from that or other thing. Is there some preliminary, some requirement, or what I can say? How can we avoid such bureaucracy through banks? Whether when they regulate how money can come to you and you have to prove that this money is going to help somebody, or it's concerned about insuring somebody. So does that money come to me, for example, here to Norway, or is sent directly to Uganda or to any other country, depending to where you have insured the person? So I'm just asking concerning about that issue of sending money to receiving money. Yeah, that's the issue.
Okay, thank you so much. The money can be paid anyway. It can be paid to you in Norway. This money is meant for end of life expenses, so it's not subjected to any tax anywhere in the world. It's not income. So don't worry about we pay anyway. There will be no questions asked because it will actually reflect that the money is coming from Diaspora Insurance. And if the bank has got any questions, we are the ones to explain. And that money will not be subjected to any tax. So when you do your tax returns, you don't even include that money because it's exempt worldwide. Money meant for end-of-life expenses is not subjected to tax. If you want us to pay to someone in Uganda, if you have got a bank account in Uganda, we can pay to that account in Uganda. If you want us to pay to a service provider, we can also do that. It's very, very flexible, but we are guided by you as the policy owner. So when you actually sign up for the policy, we ask you to nominate 2 beneficiaries, a primary beneficiary and a secondary beneficiary. These are the people to say, no, if this is to happen to you, God forbid, who do we contact? So you nominate those beneficiaries. So if the beneficiary is in Uganda and you want us to pay in the beneficiary's account, we can also do that. It's very, very flexible. But at the back of your mind, know that it's not subjected to tax.
Thank you so much. I want to believe that questions have been answered. And just to be sure, I could still leave a second or two, just in case someone would love to leave that one last question, the so-called Akatalekeka in one of our local languages. Does someone have a burning question before we sign up? Okay. I want to thank you, Mr. Talent, Ndavnu, and Dr. Edwin Pere for taking up time. Of course, you're selling out a product. Esevo, take it on.
Yeah. Hello?
Yes, please.
Sebo
tukuwulira.
wansi.
Okay, Sebo yogera tukuwulira.
Ekibuuzo kye mbuuza, what are the requirements to be a member? Lwakuba nzereeti oba bakizeemu dda simanyi. Kamale kuvamu wano mu sound, nabo basobola okudda nga mpulire bulungi.
Okay. Still, much as it was already answered, but you're asking for your sake, you deserve a right to get a response to that. Dr. Edwin or Mr. Talent, please take it on. What are the requirements to become a member, or rather requirements to take on the policy?
So, yeah, for you to be a member, we need your details. That is the names of the people to be covered and their date of birth. And Talent will recommend an appropriate cover for you, depending on your particular needs and the people that you want to cover. So for that to happen, I suggest you click the link that has been shared in the chat. You send your details. Those details will be received by Talent, and he will be in a position to contact you, and then you can do a quotation for the people that you want to cover. If you are happy with the quotation, then you proceed from there. So the same applies to everyone. Please, let's click the link that has been shared in the chat, and we'll ask Moses to also share with the different WhatsApp groups that link so that you can make the inquiries direct to Talent. He'll be available to assist you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Sebo on Samsung, have you been answered? Okay, I will perceive that silence as consent. Thank you so much, our team from Diaspora Insurance. For you who joined in later on, I'll just make a very quick wrap up. This for me, this has been my take home. At least I've come to know that this is a credible insurance company that is not just a briefcase company. Based in the UK, it is an insurance company, but also insured by one of the biggest insurance companies, Africa Re. Their policy, or sorry, their standard or core of work is to give you a shoulder to lean on, but also they give you prompt cash at the time of need. Most importantly to note, they don't require medicals. Their age limit of insurance, it's from 0 to 75. In case you need more information or you need to take a step, there is a link in the chat. They're covering so many African countries, of course, Uganda inclusive, and many others. They also offer group insurance where you can cover family, but also a group, like we have a leader here from Uganda Society in Norway, or rather leaders from Uganda Society in Norway. They also have a window for covering a group of people. When it comes to family, it goes beyond your nuclear family, but can also cover people of interest as you so wish. One of theirs, I would call it, it's not a slogan, but one catchy statement I read in the PowerPoint was that they want to save you from the trauma of bereaving with a begging bowel in the hands. Of course, from our cultures, the different cultures, we are a very helping society, a very communal society, which always steps in when there is a need. I know one of our local languages, we call them mavugo, condolences. We've seen all over social media the GoFundMe links, where these links are definitely sent to family, friends, but some links even go astray. I would call it astray to friends, I mean to the public, strangers. Of course, out of courtesy and empathy, some people contribute. But it is on the record that it's never satisfactory and we cannot rely on them. I'm speaking as one of the community leaders in Norway. In the recent past, we've had several lists running around in the groups. People have been kind enough to help, people have been kind enough to support, but at least I know from inside, these are not sustainable and they haven't helped that much. So it is a call from my personal experience at the moment was tested the product. And testing the product does not mean that I've reached that point of getting cash payouts, but at least comparatively, what I pay per month as compared to what would be likely come as a shock in terms of finances, I feel these pennies. Of course, these are the same monies we pay out to organizations like Red Cross, Doctors Without Boundaries, which is a kind gesture. But I feel it's quite important that you don't give from empty cups. It's a kind gesture to help out children all over the world who are hungry and things like that. But out of the 5 organizations, I felt within me that I could cut down to 3. Then one organization, I replace it with covering my family and myself. Of course, that's my mindset, which I believe different people could have approached this differently. But the whole point as a community leader, I feel this kind of approach of GoFundMe links, the condolence lists, they are kind of, they give quick fixes, but they're not sustainable. And in the long run, they might end up even splitting our community. Because Dr. Edwin would feel catered for next week. Talent comes in with, we come in with a list. Of course, people don't run these lists. We come in with a list for Dr. Talent who has lost a loved one. That list, maybe he gets half of what Dr. Edwin got. Another week, Maggie comes in. Maybe we help twice as much Dr. Edwin got. The other month or in 2 months, another comes in, we give 10% of what the other got. And as humans, we might feel unfairly handled or helped. But why do we put ourselves at the risk of this? So, but otherwise, thank you so much, Dr. Edwin and Mr. Talent. I hope many of us who are on the Zoom call right now, but even those who watch this stream on YouTube, Eurofarm UG, I hope many of you will reconsider the way we apportion our assets and wealth. Of course, many of us have chains of wealth, chains of assets back home. But I think it's just a portion that we need to insulate ourselves of that emotional draining and that the burden that comes with wanting to collect money to meet a very huge bill of repatriating a loved one, or even meeting a burial expense in Norway, which is very expensive. Thank you so much, everyone who has tuned in. Kindly spread the word and help a friend to help another friend to curb this very challenging vice that we are entangled in. Dr. Edwin, we shall sign out for now, unless you have a word or two, but we shall call it here for now. I want to believe that any pending questions can be directed to either me, for those who have close contact with me, and I will also share Mr. Talent's number, but also there is a link in the chat where you can tap in, get some more info, but also request for your quote when you fill in the details. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Moses. Thank you so much, listeners. We are looking forward to receiving your inquiries, and we are available to assist you 24/7. We are a 24/7 operation, so we'll be available anytime. So thank you so much.
Yes, we sign out for now. To you, our viewers watching us on YouTube, on Euroforum, thank you for taking off time to watch Euroforum. Today, we haven't had our regular show. This is the show we've come in with. We know that it hasn't been so appealing to you. These are topics, the very uncomfortable topics people don't want to talk about. But we also believe that it is some level of maturity to approach those uncomfortable topics, to be able to address topics like making a will, approach topics like this. So I believe you find peace with this topic and even find the comfort of sharing the link to someone else. Otherwise, we sign out for now. Catch up next Sunday at 4:30 European Central Time and 17:30 UG time. We sign out for now. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.